Hey everyone, my name is Adrian and I'm an entrepreneur here in Oklahoma City. I have a degree in computer science and I graduated from DePaul University. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the perspectives in technology in the field and kind of how to get into it. So, to kind of start off, if you're interested in the IT field, that is the perfect thing to get into. One of the major facts that I like to tell people that don't know a lot about tech is that for every 5 jobs, there's only one person qualified to apply for those jobs and actually to try and compete for them. So there's tons of opportunity in this growing industry that is already $1 trillion industry. Another thing that I want to tell you about in tech is that if you're curious or if you have a question about it, most likely you can go out and find it there. You've got to be able to have the belief that you can go out and do what you want to do. And so, with a lot of the things that people utilize today, there are already tools and platforms that you can use, and you don't actually have to use any code. So, in order to be a tech professional, you can actually utilize these different platforms, skill sets, technologies without having to code and get into whatever field you'd like to. And actually, one of the ways to go about it, you can go through the college route, which is where you graduate. I suggest that you take internships. Whenever you take an internship in IT, it doesn't matter the age, just showing the interest is the first thing that the corporate or a company or a small entrepreneurship business needs. And so, if you're going to go into this, it's good to try and test the waters, figure out what you're interested in technology. There are so many different things from 3D printing to coding and making applications to making websites and engineering and hardware. And so you've got to figure out what you like best. And so you've got to get over that fear and just jump in. One of the major things that you need to do whenever it comes to perspectives of IT is finding mentors as well. And so if you don't have someone within your social network, you need to, again, just go onto a search engine and just type up where are activities or events in your communities where you can figure out how to meet people that can show you the path in your individual career in technology. So that's something that you need to make sure you do. In terms of what I do and what hat that I wear, I'm an entrepreneur. And so, for example, my companies have nothing to do with technology, but I still utilize different tools and platforms within the field. So, for example, one of my businesses is called Element Soccer. And so think of it as like one-on-one tutoring with kids for soccer. And so kind of going back to my story, after I graduated college, I didn't go into the IT field. I actually played professional soccer. But while I was playing professional soccer, I kept up with my coding skills and learned how to make websites. And from there, I created my own company. And through that company, I was able to find out that I could utilize different things in the tech space to lift my company, whether that's marketing, whether that's knowing how to make a clean website and smooth. I don't have to hire anyone. You can even utilize platforms that are already out there like Wix or Squarespace. And so when it comes to these different things, you can utilize these different resources, whether it's YouTube. Again, we're using a platform right now in terms of like interacting with each other. So you've got to be able to open your mind to the entire field of technology and be able to understand that there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize, again, the tools that you have. And so when it comes to the different perspectives as an entrepreneur, the way that I view technology is that there are a lot of different ways to have streams of revenue. If you're going to be someone that is relying on tech to support yourself or your business, you need to make sure that you're trying to come up with different things to where you can make different types of incomes. And so what that means is, like, for example, with my private sessions business, how do I send out my invoices? That's actually like a really hard question to ask yourself when you're an entrepreneur. How are you going to actually bill your clients? What products can you use? And so when you go out and research the different things and you're trying to navigate through the tech field, really just look at popular opinion. One of the best things about this space is that a lot of people's technologies or applications that they make, they're reviewed, they're rated. And that's something that, in terms of like the environment, you've got to make sure you utilize. In terms of, again, entrepreneurship, you've got to make sure that when you're planning, whether it's a website, whether you're planning an application, whether you're selling a product, that you have the idea together first. If you have the idea together, then you're able to recruit the different people that you need to get that project done. That's something that I learned most in school. Is, again, if you don't know the answer's out there, and you can utilize a tech professional as well to get that answer. And so that also gives another perspective to the tech industry. Is if you're someone that's say, is working in another job. You're working a 9 to 5, right? And you're trying to figure out how to change pathways. The best way to do that is to utilize the free resources that you can use to learn how to code or learn a skill set that can get you that internship, that can get you that next job, to where you can move on to the next step and start to allocate a career path and identify what you love within the tech space. So again, the best way to do that is to search through search engines, but also test your social network. I bet you'd be surprised to figure out, how many different people have some sort of social connection somewhere in tech. Again, every industry utilizes IT, if you think about it, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in oil and natural gas. Again, all of these companies have IT departments. And so if you're trying to figure out a way to pivot or change your lifestyle, or again, choose a different career path, tech is the best way to do that. You just have to, again, just like whenever you're creating projects and trying to figure out how to sell a product, you have to decide before you jump in, what is your end goal? What is your vision? And again, if you decide what that is, you can find the different resources online. And so that's pretty much about all I have for my story or perspectives. In terms of how I applied it to myself, I did internships in college. And through those internships, I realized what I liked, what I didn't like in technology. Again, your social network can do that. After those internships, I was able to figure out, okay, I've got my foot in the door. I know what it's like to interview for a job, right, in the corporate space. And now, especially after the pandemic, it doesn't have to always be physically. You don't have to physically be in an interview room. You can apply online and have virtual jobs. Now that, we've gone through a long period of time in terms of tech and people not being in their office spaces and things like that, businesses have learned how to pivot and figure out how do we thrive in an environment where we're not actually interacting with each other on a daily basis. And so, again, these skill sets are something that you need to make sure you take advantage of. And when it comes to the different perspectives, any employer, even if there's someone that, has a lot of different departments in tech and IT, you need to just reach out. And if they say that you're not qualified, figuring out what skill sets to make you qualified is the most important thing. Again, you can turn your dreams into reality through this field. You just have to figure out what your niche is. And that's the same across the board, whether you're trying to go into the corporate space, whether you're trying to go into entrepreneurship, or if you're trying to go into education.